Welcome back to the Double Leg. I'm one half of the show, Hey Picks. The other half of the show, the Parlay. Joining me in to break down some Dana White Contender Series episode 10. Let's get into it. Final week of Dana White Contender Series. We got 6 fights on the card. So usually 5. We're getting an extra one here because one got canceled last week. They move it up to this one. So we're getting a stacked card. Final week. What do you think of the card overall?
We got some finishers on the card. I think it should be fun. 6 fights too. That's never a bad thing on a Tuesday night. 5 seems to go by too fast. So going out with a bang. Slightly positive on the year, and I'd like to keep it that way. Something to brag about because Dana White Contender Series can be unpredictable. So overall, though, I think we'll see a pretty good card.
Yeah, always good to be the positive when we're betting Dana White Contender Series. A lot of stuff you can just never see coming. But last week, 4 fights, 5 contracts given out. So 6 fights here. Maybe we'll get 7, 8 contracts. You never know. Dana White's giving them out like they're free candy because he needs some guys that he could throw in there at 12-12, and they're going to fight their butts off because they're getting a chance. So, yeah, we're going to go through, break them down, all 6 of these fights, give you the insight on the fighters that we were able to find out about them, and we'll give you our picks. But if you want the final bets for everything, you can use the link in the description. They'll be available there probably Tuesday morning for free instant download. We're going to give our picks here, but obviously sometimes they change. Sometimes you just go based off the value for the bets. Sometimes lines move pretty hard. Lines usually come out, Sunday, and then they'll get adjusted Monday into Tuesday morning. Sometimes lines flip. You never know. So stay tuned to that at the Double Leg on Instagram. You'll get updated when those are available. So just make sure you stay tuned to that if you're wanting to get in on those. Let's just get right into it. We got 6 fights, and let's keep her clean. So we got the main event, a bantamweight bout here. Ramon Taveras, who we saw earlier in this season of the Dana White Contender Series, he is back in the main event slot, coming in at plus 175 against Cortavious Romious, sitting at minus 215. He is 7-1 in his professional career. Both men 29 years of age. You see the height advantage there for Ramon Taveras. And I said he was on the Dana White Contender Series earlier this season. He got knocked out in the first round, but it was an early stoppage, so they give him another chance here. It was super early. I thought it was one of the worst stoppages of the season and one of the worst stoppages I've seen this year. So very well-deserved to get another chance here. Coming in as an underdog. He was an underdog in the first fight. Underdog in this one, but should be a fun fight. I mean, both guys like to throw hands. Cortavious himself will mix in the wrestling more so than Taveras. Taveras more of a boxer, and from what I saw from Cortavious, the dude has bounced around as far as the weight goes. He's a pretty jacked dude for 135. You saw the height. He's not a very tall guy, but he is dang ripped. And coming into this one against Taveras, it's going to be shorter. He's going to have a reach disadvantage, most likely. I mean, the reaches are always tough to find on these guys when they're not official, but I would assume he's going to have a reach disadvantage. So for this one, I would expect him to probably try to take it to the ground early and use that strength. Taveras has struggled somewhat with that in the past as far as getting taken down. His only loss before the Contender Series was against Edward Massey. Got knocked out in the first round. But if you watch him fight, got slick boxing, southpaw. We've broken him down before, so we're familiar with him. In the fight he had on the Contender Series, it was looking like it was kind of back and forth. He was going up against a pretty tall guy for the weight class, but in this one, he's going to be bigger. So I'm interested to see how he looks against Cortavious in this one. Who are you liking to get it done?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because Cortavious Romious, is so strong at this weight division. And, if he gets you on the ground, his submission game is really good. I mean, he submitted Nate Williams in the LFA in his last fight via armbar, and it was pretty slick the way he did it. And Nate Williams is a grappler. Does have some submission losses on his records, but he's also got a handful of submission wins as well. I mean, he's pretty high level in that regards. On the feet, like you can tell he's obviously going to hold some power. The way he's built, the dude's jacked. He swings hard. But he's not really knocking dudes out besides his first 3 fights at the professional level, which were against guys with records of 1-6, 1-6, 3-0, like lower level guys. So if it stays on the feet, obviously Taveras is going to have a chance. You watch his tape, and the guy can crack. He's a southpaw. He's fast. He throws good combinations. The left hand's deadly, and he's a really good counter striker. I just don't see Romious really paying any, giving any room for striking in this fight. I think he goes right for the takedowns and tries to work there because you have seen Taveras be taken down in past fights. But if it can't, and then off chance he catches him early, I mean, Taveras is live, especially I think in the first round for a KO. And, maybe there's a world Romious gasses out too. He is built, a lot of those guys that have a ton of muscle like that, sometimes their gas tank goes halfway through fights. So you just never know what's going to happen. It's hard to predict at this price. Like I'm not confident Romious goes out there and gets it done. It might be a shot on the dog or pass here. For the pick though, I'm gonna still stick with Romious gets the submission first or second round. But betting wise, the dog is interesting because he does hold some characteristics that you like to see in a fighter, especially when you're fighting on a show you want to get a big finish because he'll come out and throw down on the feet for sure, and he's always live for the knockout. But I think Cortavius has got the tools. He's got the grappling game to just be one step ahead of Taveras in this fight.
This is one you're probably going to want to wait to see the weigh-ins too, because Cortavius hasn't made 135 since 2020, and that was his only loss. He lost to Jornel Lugo by split decision. Lugo is a pretty solid opponent. I mean, he's been in the Bellator promotion. He's got a couple wins in Bellator, 5 actually to be exact, 2 losses in Bellator. But you look at the fights after that. I mean, he weighed in at 138. He weighed in at 146, and his last fight was at 150. He weighed in at 149. So if you look at his Instagram, it looks like he's slimmed down compared to what he was, fighting at 130, 138, 140, 145. So I would expect him to make weight. It looks like he's in great shape. Taveras, I like his stand-up game. It's really solid. I mean, he's got good boxing. I just don't know if he's going to be able to use that in this one. Because, like you said, I just don't think Cortavius is going to come out here and want to, go through a boxing match against a guy who was mainly a boxer. So I think Romious probably goes for the takedown early, probably gets it. Dude's strong, explosive. And that's usually a bad combination if you're trying to stuff a takedown. A guy that's just able to pick you up, blast a double, get in deep, and get you down, and then has the strength to keep you down. It's usually not a great combination for the opponent. So I'm going to go with Romious. It's not really the Dana White Contender Series style that we like to see. So that makes me hesitant. Maybe Romious tries to go out there and land some big knockout, try to get a contract. But if he's smart, he would look at, the recent weeks and be like, all you got to do is win, basically. He'll sign you.
Right.
So I'll take him for the pick at minus, 240. I'm not too crazy about it because, the dogs have been coming through Dana White Contender Series. And if for whatever reason, he doesn't decide to shoot a takedown, Taveras definitely got the better boxing, in my opinion. Cortavius might be a little more wild, might be tough for Taveras to pick his shots and find that good shot. But yeah, I mean, I think just the dominance that Romious is going to be able to expose with the wrestling and the grappling game should be able to get it done. And, he's able to finish guys on the ground too. I mean, he's got 4 submissions, 5 of his wins come in the first round. He's able to pick up a decision win in the past. So I think he probably gets this one done. But yeah, I'll take him for the pick. Flyweight bout here. Rickson Zenidim coming in at plus 215 against Andre Lima, sitting at minus 270. another somewhat of a wider line here. Both guys young as well, 24 years of age for both fellas here, both Brazilian. So we're getting some Brazilian on Brazilian action. 6-0 for Lima, 14-1 for Hicks and Zenidim. Both guys similar frames as well. So pretty good matchup here. I think this should be a fun fight. I mean, flyweights are usually, super explosive. They're going to have good exchanges. And based off their fights, they're all action. I mean, Zenidim looks like he's got a bunch of submissions on his record. It's tough to find tape on him. I'm not going to lie, because he's fighting in not like the biggest promotions. I was able to see his last 2 fights in FFC, and those were ones where he got a knockout his last time out, and then the fight before that was his only loss to Rodrigo Vera, who was 14-1-1 at the time. So he's not fighting like the bottom of the barrel. You look at the guys he's fighting recently; they're not too bad. The one thing that sticks out is the submissions, and then I try to find tape on the submissions, and I just can't find it.
Can't find it.
So I'm like, I don't know if he's just submitting super low level dudes, but a lot of it comes, first round. I mean, that's obviously something you got to take into account. Guy's got 10 submission wins. And then you're going up against a guy in Andre Lima, who's got 5 wins by KO. He's got some Muay Thai fights, some kickboxing fights on his record on Tapology. So, I mean, he's probably a very polished striker. You watch him fight, looks that way. But then, I mean, the big question mark here is the ground game for Hickson, because I don't know if it's that dominant or if it's a fluke. So, what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, if you just looked at his tape of his last few fights, like you said, there's not a lot out there to find. You would think he's like a Muay Thai fighter, because that's kind of his style on the feet. His kicks look pretty good. I mean, they look pretty vicious at times, especially in his last fight. He'll fight like a slower pace on the feet and just kind of explode with kicks to the body or kicks to the head. But you look at his record and you're like, well, shit, he had a knockout his last fight. He's only got 2 in his pro career out of 15 fights, and he's got 10 submissions. Like, where are the submissions at? You wish you could go find the tape and just see, if he's just knocking dudes down and just, rear naked chokes or stuff like this. But you look at the record, I mean, it looks like he's doing it, via armbar, rear naked choke, kind of a variety. So it tells you he's probably got some skills there, but against who? Like, it could be good fighters at the regional scene, but maybe it's good strikers and the guys that don't have much ground game. It's just so hard to tell without seeing film. Lima, on the other hand, I like what I saw out of Lima on the feet. He has really good leg kicks. He attacks the calves, switches stances really well, and he likes to blitz forward and throw some big shots. And it's hard for guys to deal with at that level, especially the stance switch. You don't know where the punches are coming from, especially when he's attacking the leg, from southpaw and then orthodox. It can be tough at this level. He likes to fight with constant pressure. And, when you look at the submission record of Hickson and you see he's got 10 of them, it makes you wonder how he gets fights to the ground, because he doesn't really look like a big wrestler by any means. And Lima, on the other hand, there's some tape on him where guys have him up against the fence, double underhooks, and he's so strong that he'll just hip toss you and throw you. And he looks like he's got some judo in his back pocket or something. And that's kind of good to see too, if you're on the Lima side here. And yeah, I think Lima's able to keep this thing on the feet. And if he does, I think he picks him apart just from what you can see, really breaking down both guys' films. So Lima over -250 right now. Hate to see that. He's going to be my pick, but I don't really like the dog in this situation either, especially with so little out there on him.
Yeah, I'm just super like sketched about these subs, because is he getting them down like with ease? Like, is he taking them down with ease and he's able to find the submission right away? Because the film that you can find, he's not really even looking to like mix in a takedown or anything. So
yeah,
I mean, maybe he's just trying to polish that stand-up game before he gets into a fight like this too. Maybe that's the reason he's done that. But the loss against Rodrigo Vera, he was on his back a lot too. So that's kind of a red flag as far as, getting up to the higher level of competition. The jiu-jitsu may not work as well, because that fight, he was on his back a lot. And then last time out gets the TKO in the second round, but in the first round, he was on his back a lot too. So I think if it's a stand-up battle, I think Lima probably wins because it looks like he's a really polished kickboxer and Muay Thai specialist, and I would expect him to have a little bit more, violence on the feet. If it goes to the ground, if he goes to the ground and you're holding a minus 250 ticket on Lima, you're like probably like, okay, I really hope this guy's jiu-jitsu is not that good, because we saw it last week. Um, Jiu-jitsu can win you a fight. Like, I forget who was in it. It was like the Chilean dude and the Brazilian dude.
Oh, Hugo Silva.
Yeah, Chilean dude tries to take him down for no reason. I mean, it was like he's the obvious striker, and he tries to take him down and finds himself in a knee bar. So
Yeah.
if Lima doesn't do that, then I like it a little bit better, because I don't know if Hickson's got some great wrestling that could get it there. And Lima has showed some pretty decent takedown defense, like you said. So Lima's going to be the pick for me. We'll see where this line ends up. If it keeps rising in Lima's favor, maybe it's worth to take a dog shot on Hickson Zenidim, just based on the fact he's got those subs. Maybe you can find something. But yeah, Lima will be the pick for me. But just a little sketch as far as, what these guys really hold as far as in their arsenal.
Here's what makes me think that Hickson might not be the best jiu-jitsu practitioner, because he has a split decision win over Victor Medalla. And if you look at Medalla's record, he lost a split decision to Hickson, and then he lost all of this in a row: a guillotine choke, arm triangle, rear naked choke, and doctor stoppage. A dude that's getting submitted left and right, and then Hickson, can't get it done and goes split decision.
Yeah.
And the guy's 6-7. So it's like, why is he not getting that win? And everybody else in the last 6 fights is submitting this dude besides Hickson. So it's weird.
Yeah, that's a good catch there. Yeah, Lima will be the pick for me. Featherweight bout here, Yair, or it could be Jair, I don't know. Jair Farias sitting at minus 170, coming in against Connor Matthews sitting at plus 140. Connor Matthews been on the Contender Series before, took an L. He's back here trying to get his stamp into the UFC. Farias undefeated, 10-0. You see the frame there, 5'11". That's one thing you can pick up on if you watch film on him. Guy's got a big frame for featherweight. He looks pretty long. Maybe some chicken legs in there, but I mean, he's undefeated. And the way he's winning these fights, most of them by KO, TKO. Last fight, got a first round KO against Elvis Silva, who's 13-7 at the time. I mean, you look at the other opponents he's facing, 4-4, 4-1, 3-0, 4-3, lower level regional guys. I don't know if it's the greatest competition for Connor Matthews. Like I said, lost on the Contender Series to Francis Marshall, who's been up and down in the UFC, 1-2 to be exact. But he lost that decision pretty clearly. He was on his back a lot. And you look at the way that Connor Matthews is winning fights, most of them by submission, and he just couldn't find it there against Francis Marshall. Kind of got beat up for 3 rounds. Coming in as the underdog, it's always, we saw last week, Rodolfo Bellato coming in as a 2-1 underdog, been on the Contender Series before, lost, gets it done as an underdog. Connor Matthews coming in as an underdog. Maybe there's a chance, he's got the experience that he could come in here and pull through. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think there's a chance. Connor Matthews sometimes, especially in the first round, burns hot a little bit. It looks like he's got big power. If you watch his tape, he hurts guys with that right hand. But the second he has you hurt, or the second he sees the opportunity, when he jumps on your back, like, he's so fast at getting his hooks in and gets the body triangle. And from there, he's got a lot of rear naked chokes on his record. He has good ground and pound when he can kind of flatten you out. It really, when it comes to finishing ability, and getting the fight into a position where he can finish it or do some good work, it seems like he's got good fight IQ, which you like to see. I mean, he did lose to Francis Marshall, which, Marshall's one of these fighters who's kind of been up and down, like you said, in the UFC, but you can tell the talent's there. Like, he's a good fighter, especially at the Dana White's Contender Series level. Like, it's not the worst loss in the world, but the way he lost, didn't really show a lot of promise. But he's back. He's got that experience. And he's got a lot of finishing ability, so you can't really count him out. Farias, he's tall and he's long. He's got a long reach, and where he fights well is at distance. You watch his tape; he's more like paced and more controlled, I think, compared to Matthews. Where Matthews can get a little wild on the feet and more chaotic. And for Farias, he uses leg kicks really well. A lot of times at this level, and I've seen it in his regional scene tape, he hits all these leg kicks and these calf kicks, and guys just kind of crumble to that kind of pressure and that kind of damage. And you wonder if he can keep this fight on the feet in that range, if he can kind of do the same thing here. He does get controlled a little bit, especially up against the cage, and if fights hit the mat. So I think if you're Matthews, you got to get this fight to the ground. If you're Farias, you got to stay at range and really beat up that lead leg to where Matthews can't really use it to explode in on these takedowns and stuff. So for the pick, I'm going to go with Farias. I think that in this style of fight, I think if Connor Matthews can't find the finish in the first round, I think it's going to be harder and harder to take him down. And as the fight goes on, I think Farias is going to have more and more success. So for the pick, give me Farias. I don't know if I'm betting on him. Don't know how I'm going to lean this way as far as betting goes, though.
Yeah, all of his wins for Connor Matthews come in the first round. I mean, it comes down to pretty much what you put it up to is like if Matthews can't get a finish on the ground early, might be a long night for him. If you look at his record, I think the Francis Marshall fight was kind of a reality check because he was fighting straight cans on the regional scene. Like, he's got the Jay Ellis win under his belt. We all know Jay Ellis, the man, the myth, who's like 15 and 100 and something. And then even his other opponents, 0-7, 1-8, 1-2. Like, you look at his rear naked choke win to get him to the Contender Series. If you watch that fight, the guy like fell, and then he was able to just jump on his back and take the rear naked choke. It wasn't like he blast doubled him, got him down, worked for the rear naked right away. It's not like impressive tape if you really watch it, because these guys are just straight trash that he's fighting. Jair Farias, I think if he keeps it on the feet, he's going to be taller, longer. I think he's the better striker and probably wins this fight. But Matthews, tough. I mean, he went to a decision in a fight that he was kind of getting beat up on. So I'm going to go with Farias for the pick. As long as he, can defend takedowns. I haven't really seen a great takedown game from Connor Matthews, so that makes me a little bit more confident in Farias. He'll be the pick for me. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on the line and see where the bet's going to go on that one.
I think someone gets exposed as a fraud in this fight, honestly.
Somebody
is.
Yeah, I would probably look for a finish early, somewhat, because Farias probably a big power. Matthews could find a sub early too, so keep an eye on it. Middleweight bout here, Yuri Paferov coming in at plus 200 against Torres Finney, sitting at minus 240. That is a big dude in Torres Finney, but you look at his height, 5'7", and he's a short, stocky guy. Both men undefeated, 6-0, 24 years of age for Torres Finney, 27 for Yuri Paferov. And if you watch the tape on these guys, Torres Finney, the frame is impressive, but, he looks so freaking thick. He's just able to take these guys down. And it's almost like a Khabib style when you watch him wrestle, because he gets them down, tries to, extend their legs and kind of just bully them, basically use his weight on top, not let him build a base, just continue to punch him in the face. He does no submissions on his record. Most of these wins are coming by ground and pound. He's got a decision win. He's undefeated. He's training with Trevor Peek. He's out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So he's Trevor Peek's boy. 24 years of age, though, so he's probably getting better everywhere that he can within mixed martial arts. Yuri Paferov, the Russian polar bear. Watching his fights, wasn't super impressed. Like, there's a reason he's plus 200 in this spot. And I just watch his fights. I'm like, this guy is supposed to pull off a win in the UFC. Like, if he gets in the UFC, I just don't think he's going to do much. So if he comes through as an underdog here, I don't know if he'll have a great UFC career. He could pull through here and get a win. But he's got 5 submissions on his record, 1 TKO. The problem here is our boy Torres Finney might be tough to submit. Doesn't have much of a neck. Those arms are going to be thick. They're going to be strong. So if he's looking to try to get a sub here, that might be a tough way to win this fight. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know if neither of these guys are necessarily UFC level. I think it's going to be a sloppy fight. I think it could be a fast fight, but it's just not like a bunch of raw talent on the feet in this fight at all. The wrestling for Torres Finney is more of just like that overpowering. He's an athlete though. He's jacked. He was apparently a good high school wrestler, all American high school wrestler, good college football player. But yeah, just a ball of muscle with some athleticism in him. But when the fights start round one, every single fight I could find, he'll throw these big shots or even just one shot and then try to back his opponent up. And from there, just blast a takedown, get your back, and just kind of, ground and pound until, the ref jumps in and stops the fight. And, just watching that, he's just overpowering everybody. And I don't really see in Yuri Panfarov why Torres won't do it to him as well. Like, yeah, Yuri Panfarov has some good submissions and good grappling. And, when he gets on top, he's good and he has good pressure and transitions to the back and everything. But that's going to be hard to do, especially early against Torres Finney. Also, like, this is the perfect example of a fight where if this goes past the first round, both of these guys are going to be hands on knees, I think, gasping and tired because both guys are going to burn pretty hot. Both guys, or especially Finney is explosive. So that's the part that makes it interesting. Like, I feel like Torres Finney's a guy that if he doesn't find that first round submission, you look at the way he's built, you look at the way he fights, how long can he really keep that up? He does have I guess one fight on his record where he went decision and won, but outside of that, he's getting a lot of round one, round two finishes. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Panfarov, good submission game, but other than that, I wouldn't be surprised if Finney just kind of puts him up against the cage and tees off on him and just kind of plays that game with him too here because on the feet, Panfarov hasn't looked that good. So I think it's a sloppy fight though. I think Finney wins, but going forward, I'm not sure if either of these guys are real UFC caliber.
Yeah, both guys undefeated as an amateur too. So I mean, they've never lost amateur or pro. Um, it really just comes down to like I just don't think either of these guys has a good UFC career.
No.
So I don't know if I could get behind minus 240 or minus 250 on Torres Finney because 5'7" middleweight, like we've seen that with Deron Winn. Deron Winn was 5'6", and I mean he got a couple wins in the UFC, but it's really reminds me of that. Like thick dude, short guy, strong wrestler. I just don't see how they have great success in the UFC when you are able to put them up against a guy that can strike. But the problem here with the dog and Yuri Panfarov, I haven't really been impressed with his striking ability. It really just comes down to a submission game. So I don't know. Maybe Torres Finney finds a way to throw himself in a submission, or Panfarov can cinch something up. But as I said earlier, the dude's thick. It's going to be tough to submit a guy that has a good wrestling background too. So I mean, he's probably going to have good top pressure, and more times than not, a good top pressure wrestler is able to just stay safe against a jiu-jitsu guy. So Finney will be the pick for me. Don't love the price. Don't really think either of these guys is going to be anything great in the UFC. Yeah, just a greasy one. Maybe even look for an over because I think Finney could probably just lay in guard for 3 rounds if that's somewhat true. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Stay tuned for the bets when they're available. Lightweight bout here. Markel Mederos coming in at plus 120 against Isakov. Isakov coming in at minus 150. Isakov 5-0 in his last 5, 10-2 in his professional career, 7-1 for Markel Mederos. Unknown age for Isakov, so don't know what that really means, but yeah, we don't know. We don't know how old he is, but if you look at his Instagram, seems like he's been getting some good training in. I've seen Hamzat, seen Gunram, I've seen Benoit Saint Denis, so it looks like he's getting some good work in. And if you look at his professional career, he's not fighting like terrible guys. Like his past three fights have been against, or I guess past two fights have been against some decent guys. 12-4, 13-2. He's able to get it done. He's fight a lot in Brave CF, which is a pretty decent organization. And he's been able to get a good amount of finishes as well. 3 TKOs, 2 subs, a couple wins by decision. You watch his game though. I mean, a lot of it is get the guy to the ground. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of a Hamza type style. Like he's gonna shoot early. He's gonna just go for legs, try to get you down, and just work you on the ground. And in exchanges on the ground, he's fairly good at just ending up on top. And in this one against Markel Mederos, I think Mederos probably has a little more complete game, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to stifle the game of Isakov. Trains at Factory X Muay Thai. Mederos does. He's shown pretty good wrestling, good offensive wrestling in his fights, and he's shown some pretty solid stand-up game. I think he might be the more complete fighter, but like I said, I don't know if it's going to be enough to stop the wrestling game of Isakov. What do you think?
Yeah, for Markel, good on the feet, and everything he throws is like straight down the pipe. He's not looping anything. Like it's really tight, pretty slick boxing. But he'll mix in the leg kicks pretty well too. And I think the pressure, or constantly staying in his opponent's face with a higher pace, fights going downhill, forward, tries to back his opponents up, and he also fights out of southpaw and will switch stances as well. And again, that's difficult for these regional scene guys. And so far, like you said, he's shown good takedowns offensively. He's shown good takedown defense so far as well, but it's like he's not really fighting anybody worth crediting that, giving him praise for good takedown defense. Nobody's really a great grappler he's fighting. He's not the fastest, but what I do know is like he moves well on the feet. Like his footwork's good. He cuts really good angles to find good shots, but he'll get hit a little bit on the feet too. And just not being the faster fighter against a guy like Isakov, if you're not fast and you're not able to, kind of press the pace and put the pressure on him that he's going to have to, like if he's not able to do that for more than a round, I think Isakov's just going to take him down over and over. Like you said, he's training with Hamzat. He's got that Hamzat style. He's got good striking and he's fluid on the feet, but Isakov, dude, the explosiveness is insane. At least what I saw on tape. Like he gets to the double leg and he gets you down pretty easily. He's hard to defend, and you can tell watching his tape. Like guys have a hell of a time with his takedown offense, and it seems like the one knock I do have on him though is like he's fought a few guys that have been able to at least get back up to the feet after the takedown, and he does seem to just almost like panic just a little bit. Like he gets a little bit more chaotic and less composed once guys are able to get up from his takedowns and stuff. And if that happens here, I think Marquell's good enough and composed enough on the feet. He could make it interesting. But in a fight like this, I like Isakov's style, especially with a guy who can strike well on the feet, but also, that great wrestling in the back pocket. It's just not something, he can go to if he wants to. It's something he'll always mix in along with that good striking. So, I'm going to go with Isakov here for the pick.
Isakov has been fighting at 170 and 165 as well. And he does look somewhat undersized when you watch the tape on him and when he's fighting these guys at those weights. So I think a 155 probably suits him a little bit better. Markel Mederos, the thing that I don't really like is like the guys he's fighting just aren't good. Like they're not good at all. Like 8-8, 8-5. I mean, he got a win against a 5-1, but that ain't even like that impressive. If you watch that fight, like I didn't watch that fight and wasn't super impressed with that win, but he got it done. Round 3 TKO in that one. I don't know if he's seen a wrestler like this. So I'm gonna go with Isakov for the pick. The only thing that scares me if he can, survive that onslaught early, if Isakov does get that like look in his eyes, like, oh shit, I can't take this guy down. Mederos is probably going to piece him up on the feet. I really do think Mederos has the better striking. So that's the sketchy part for this one. Isakov would be the pick for me. I'll keep it on the price. If Mederos becomes a bigger underdog, might be worth a shot because this is Contender Series and we like strikers on Contender Series. And more often than not, they pull through. So, yeah, Isakov be the pick, but I'll keep an eye on it. Bantamweight bout now. It was supposed to be a flyweight fight last week. Lucas Rocha comes in like 4 or 5 pounds over. So now we're fighting at bantamweight. Lucas Rocha coming in at -130. Davey Bittencourt coming in at minus 100, even money. I believe that was about the line that it was last week. I think maybe Rocha was a smaller favorite, but either way, we're getting a similar line here, just at a different weight. 28 years of age for Bittencourt, 23 years of age for Lucas Rocha. We broke him down last week. So we got a pretty good read on him now. 16-1 for Rocha, 14-3 for Bittencourt. And should be a good scrap. I'm interested to see how this changes things at 135. Because Bittencourt is 5'4", Lucas Rocha, 5'2". I'm like, why did you miss weight by that bad? Like you're somewhat of a smaller guy, 23 years of age, 17 fights on his record. So I mean, he's pretty experienced for being that young. The way we broke it down last week is like we were scared of Bittencourt's submission game because he's got the ability to do that, and he's gotten a good amount of wins by submission. He's on a good win streak for himself, 10 wins in a row. Lucas Rocha, more of a striker. And as the fight goes on, seems like he's able to put a pace on you in the later rounds and put together a lot of combinations. So if Bittencourt does go out and impose the grappling game, I like it for him. But if Rocha can stuff takedowns and kind of wear on him as the fight goes on, I like it for him. So I'm kind of torn on this one. Last week, I was probably going to put in a bet on Bittencourt. But now with the weight miss, I'm like, Bittencourt had to cut all the way down to 125. And then he's going to have to come in at 135 now. Rocha didn't have to cut down to 125. Now he's going to be maybe a little bit bigger. So I'm kind of a little sketched out now. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's really weird. Like Lucas Rocha, a guy that has fought at flyweight, but it's even fought even a step further down at 115, like 115 pounds, and he's 5'2". How in the hell did he miss weight at flyweight? And going up to bantamweight, like that's a big difference for a guy who's 5'2" and has fought at 115 and 125 a lot. Like I don't know. That makes me a little bit nervous for him here, especially against a guy who wants to grapple and who's going to be stronger and look for submissions. Like Rocha should be better on the feet. He should be faster, and he should have probably a better gas tank and better volume. But you add those extra pounds on, that's a less of a weight cut for Bittencourt. Maybe Rocha being that small of a guy, he didn't make 125 because there's an injury or something, but he's got to fight and take this opportunity because it's the Contender Series, trying to get to the UFC. So there's a lot of factors here that are a little weird. I don't know what to exactly think of it. Like maybe Rocha comes in here and he hasn't had to cut any weight at all, and he looks really, really good at 135. But being 5'2", going up against a guy in Bittencourt who probably had to cut a little bit down to get to 135, I lean Bittencourt for that reason, especially with the style. I think Bittencourt can at least win that first round, and from there, I think we'll have a better idea how the rest of this fight's going to go. But one play I kind of lean to here is the under 2.5. It's at minus 115. Both guys have finishing ability. You look at Rocha, 9 KOs, 4 submissions, only 3 decisions on his record. And then Bittencourt seems like he's just kind of submitting everybody. And I think there's a chance, too, if he expends a lot of energy early in the fight, I think Rocha could kind of, put that pace and break him in the second. So I think either way, both guys have a good chance to finish this fight. And I really do like that under 2.5. For the pick, I think I have to take Bittencourt just because of all the factors going into it. 5'2", 135, and you struggled to make weight the last time. I just didn't really sit right with me. So I'm going to lean Davey Bittencourt here.
Yeah, I like that under 2.5 too. For the pick, I'm going to go with Bittencourt as well. I think maybe having to wait another week maybe lights a little fire under him. Maybe comes in with some animosity. Be like, come on, man, like. Supposed to fight last week. Now I got to cut weight again. I'm going to go with Bittencourt. I think he's got more ways to win in this one. Could mix in the wrestling, but even on the feet, I think he can handle Rocha for the most part. I do think Rocha has a little bit better volume. Bittencourt hits pretty hard. He's been finished a few times on the ground, been knocked out once. Bittencourt has. Rocha's been knocked out once. So both guys are able to get finished. I like that under now that you say it even more. But Bittencourt will be the pick for me. Stay tuned for the bets, though, as I said earlier. But, yeah, those are the picks for Dana White Contender Series week 10 last week. Let's end the season on a good note. I believe we're both in the green as far as the season. So hopefully we can add to that in the last week. Once again, stay tuned at the Double Egg on Instagram to be updated when those are available. Be Tuesday morning, most likely. Instant download for free using the link in the description, which is also in the description here on YouTube. And if you want to join the Double Egg Premium, less than $1 a day gets you every single UFC card every week. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Hit the sub, support the channel, hit the like button for us. At HeyJobPicks on the medias for me. Where can they find you?
All social media is at the Parlay MMA.
All right, till next video, we'll be breaking down UFC Vegas 81. The Double Egg here.